I'm going to help you get up and down more often, helping you save more pars, avoid more bogeys, and I'm not even going to be getting you to change anything in your technique. So, first thing is, we get to the ball, we have to look at the lie. The lie basically dictates or tells us what we can or we can't do. When I'm filming a chipping video, I'm generally going to give myself a good lie. So I've got a good lie. If this was rough, that would change things, but look at the lie first. The second thing we have to do is then take a look at the shot we're faced with and select the best ball flight to get the ball close. So when I say ball flight, I'm not thinking of a golf club at this stage. I'm just looking at the situation I'm in and thinking, right, if I had this ball in my hand, what would be the easiest way for me to get this ball close? So looking at the flag there, I can see a big break. I'm not going to massively read that break yet, but I can see a big break off the left. I can see a lot of green to work with, and I think it's going to be pretty quick. So if I was throwing this ball, I'd throw it on a fairly low ball flight. I'd throw it to the left of the flag, and I'd probably do something a little bit like that. Not bad, a little bit strong, but that's pretty good. So think that, grab a ball in your hand. If you were throwing it, what would you have to do to get the ball close? That's going to pretty much tell you the trajectory that you want to use. What I now have to do is think, okay, based on that trajectory that I've just visualized, what club in my bag would do that? Is it a 60 degree? Is it a 7-iron that goes super low? Now for me, that was a very low flight. I'm thinking that's pitching wedge, just give it a clean. So I've selected a club based on a trajectory that I've already seen. I've already visualized that trajectory. Now what I need to do is actually read the green a little bit more in detail. You know, start to look a little bit more at those slopes and say, well, exactly where do I need this ball to land on that green to end up by the flag? So I'm then starting to, you know, look at an area on the green, and this is where I potentially will even walk up onto the green. And personally, I don't look for a specific spot, but I just look at an area, and for me it's probably a 3-foot round circle that I'm sort of visualizing on the green, and I want it to be around about here, but I think that's enough left that it's going to cause the ball to roll back. So by that point, I've got my club, I've seen the shot that I want to hit, and I've got myself a landing zone. All the shot is planned out. What I now have to do is do things that help me execute it. But now the shot that I've chosen, locked in, I can't change that. So now we go through a process that I call feel the ground, see the shot. We have slopes, as you can see around the screen. There's upslope here, downslope there, upslope, downslope, loads of uneven lies. So if I stood in different places around this green, relative to my eyes and me, the ground would be in different places. This would be closer to me. There's a downslope here, the ground would be further away from me. So the first couple of practice things that I have is me feeling the ground. It's just landing the bottom of the club onto the ground, just trying to gauge where it is, trying to basically get my swing radius to sit nicely on the ground. And at this point, there's no technical thoughts. I'm not thinking tip over more, tip over less, grip higher up the club, grip down the club. I'm just feeling it. I'm just standing in here and just starting to feel where that ground is. Once I've felt where the ground is, I now need to see the shot. My practice swings need to be looking at the landing zone, where I chose the ball to land. So I'm starting to really match the distance that I'm carrying the ball with the length of swing that I'm using. And again, there's no thoughts. You know, if you ask me to look up by the flag, I naturally make a longer swing because my eyes are telling me that distance is greater. When I look closer to me, my swings become narrower. Now in terms of setup, I'm setting up based on the shot that I've seen. You know, if I'd have chosen a 60 degree with a really high ball flight, my setup is reflecting what I'm doing. But because I'm choosing a pitching wedge and I'm going to hit a relatively low shot, the ball is towards the back, my hands are a little forward, I'm standing a bit closer, and I'm going through that process. The last thing I do before I want to go and hit it, I need to see the entire shot. So my last practice swing is one where I hit the ground and visualize the ball traveling, landing, rolling, breaking, finishing right by the hole. That's the last thing I want to do before I then go ahead and step in and hit it. And when I do step in and hit it, I'm not thinking technique. Technique needs to go out the window. If your technique isn't good, get yourself to the practice area and work on it. This is not the place to work on technique. So I'm going between those two little points. I've got my circle on there. I've got my landing zone. With any luck, I've read it. Well, I kind of know I have because I threw that ball onto the green. I've just got to now hit a shot and hopefully we get the result that we want. Carried it way too far and the ball flight was much higher than I intended. So the result isn't terrible. I got lucky. I got 2 wrongs and it kind of made a right. So yeah, with chipping, 2 wrongs do make a right, but that was not the way I want it to come out. So let's have another go. Let's see if I can create the ball flight that I actually want and hit the landing zone that I want. That was a little closer. That was a little closer. See a lot of break on that. And it's actually finished pretty much in the same place. So yeah, the closer you can get to the shot that you're visualizing and executing that, great. If you don't quite get it, provided you planned everything out correctly, the result might not be terrible. You know, I look at that shot I hit and go, it wasn't great. It missed my landing zone, didn't hit on the trajectory I wanted, but because my process was good, I got the result I needed. Right, now we've got to get up there, we've got to hold that putt. So here's where it finished. Definitely a little bit further away than I would have liked, but this is a great opportunity to talk about how we actually make these, because this is a distance that we'd like to make. You know, statistics tell us we're not going to make all of them, probably not going to make much more than about 50 to 60%, but we can give ourselves a better chance by the process. So the first thing I would do, mark my ball, clean it if there's any mud on it. Obviously I wouldn't have been able to touch my ball since I teed off. This is the chance to give it a good clean. And then I'm going to read it. So when I'm reading this putt, I'm going to be looking obviously at the piece of ground that I'm putting over, but I'm going to be using the shot that I hit into the green. You know, looking at what that did, that's going to help me. If I've got playing partners who've chipped and putted from different places, that's going to help me. And I've also got my experience. If it's a course that I'm playing that I know, I might have some experience of this section of the green. Now this is actually a little tricky one. The kind of slope that I came over and around on my chip is over here, but there's a rise up here. So I'm almost in the sort of bottom of this slope, and I think I'm going to be influenced a little bit by this slope. So I think this is an inside left putt. Now what I might do is I might stand across my line to see if I feel like I am tilting and feeling more weight on one leg. To me, that feels very slightly like there's more weight on my right leg. So what that does is it confirms the read that I had. That's really powerful because I need to be over this ball with confidence. Having 2 sort of agreeing reads, if that makes sense, really helps. So what I then do, I get a line on my ball, I get the logo, some marking on my ball, and I aim that on the inside left of the hole. This is not much of a breaking putt. So this is inside left. I leave my marker there. I know that's a tee. If it was a marker, I leave it there and I stand back, and from here, it's much easier for me to see exactly where the line on my ball is. I'm happy with that. So I've now got my read. I've confirmed it with my feet across the line. I've got the line on my ball. And what I do now is I use, when I pick that marker up, that is my cue to say the direction that I've chosen, the read, the break, is done. Everything's done. I can't change it. I'm now into a process. What I mean by that is if I stand over the ball and suddenly go, oh, that looks more from the right than it did before, that's a line thought. If I stand over and say, wow, that line looks like it's pointing left, that's a directional thought. I can't have those. I have to just trust that line of the ball. So what I would then do is I'd start from here. I've picked my marker up, I've got my line, and now I'm into process. My job is to set myself up with a line on my putter matching the line on my ball, and it's to roll my ball as straight through that line as I can with the correct distance. That's it. If it goes in or misses, I now can't control that. Could hit a spike mark, not here because these golf courses are in immaculate condition, but it might take a bump and deviate offline. I can't control that. I can't be thinking of outcome. All I can think about is hitting the ball along the line that I've chosen with the right pace. So let's go ahead and do it. I'm pretty happy where that line is. So let's just go ahead and see if we can roll it. Didn't move. Didn't break a lot, so I aimed it left, inside left, and it went inside left. But the stroke was good. I saw the line rolling over and over and over. Pace was good, and I hold it. So, chipping and putting. Yes, you've got to have an element of technique there. You've got to be able to hit those shots. But once you can, it's process. The best players in the world have the best processes. There's no reason why you can't have the same process. It will, I 100% guarantee you, help you chip it closer, putt it better, and get up and down more often.